Folks, I think we'll make a start. You're welcome to our March meeting of Assurance, Audit and Risk Committee. We're going to start now with notice and summons of meeting and attendance, and Denise is going to take that first.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, members. You're hereby summoned to attend the bi-monthly meeting of the Assurance, Audit and Risk Committee, which will be a hybrid meeting conducted remotely via WebEx and physically in the Council Chamber, Guildhall, Derry, today, Tuesday, the 18th of March at 4 p.m. Alderman Darren Guy. Alderman Keith Kerrigan.
Online, Denise.
Councillor Raymond Barr. Councillor Amanda Clark.
Sure.
Councillor Caitlin Deeney.
And sure.
Councillor Caroline Devine.
And sure.
Councillor Gary Donnelly. Councillor Paul Gallagher. Councillor Fergal Leonard.
And sure.
Councillor Patricia Logue.
Sure.
Councillor Patrick Murphy. Councillor Declan Norris. Councillor Martin Riley.
Online, Denise.
Councillor Brian Tierney. Thank you, members. Thanks, Chair.
Moving on now to the broadcasting statement. I would like to remind everyone physically present at this meeting or in attendance remotely that this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeated viewing. This broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with our protocol. Due to your attendance at this meeting, you are consenting to being filmed and to the use and storage of those images for broadcasting or training purposes and for the purpose of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. Members and approved speakers are reminded to only have their mics and cameras on while speaking at the meeting and to use the chat facility to highlight a request to speak. A copy of the Council's privacy notice may be found on the Council website. Moving on now to item 4, declaration of members' interest. If anybody has any during the meeting, just if you're online, pop it in the box. Item number 5, chairperson's business. I don't have any chair's business myself and I haven't been contacted. Item number 6, matters arising from the open minutes of the Assurance, Audit and Risk Committee on Thursday. I don't have the date of the last meeting. Any matters arising from that? No. Moving on now then to item number 7 and 8 are going to be taken together. Deborah is going to take those, the internal audit strategy and the internal audit plan.
Thank you, Chair. Purpose of these reports is to seek members' comments and approval for the internal audit strategy and internal audit plan for 25-26, attached at Appendix A and B. Professional internal audit standards require internal audit sections to have an internal audit strategy and plan in place approved by the organisation's audit committee. The internal audit strategy details the focus and priorities for internal audit for the year ahead. A draft internal audit strategy is attached for members' comments and approval and covers the following key points: the strategic direction of the internal audit section, strategic objectives of the internal audit section, key priority and targets in 25-26 and the plan of work for 25-26. The internal audit plan presented for members' approval at Appendix B is based on a number of factors, including the results of the audit needs assessment for the organisation, consultation with senior management and available resources. The key elements of the proposed plan for 25-26 are as follows: audit from 24-25 rolled forward, follow-up audit work, recurring annual audits, audit of other areas, other work, provision of training and additional audit assignments. There are no implications arising from these reports. It is recommended that members approve the draft internal audit strategy and internal audit plan for 25-26. Happy to take any questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments?
Chair, no questions or comments, but just want to propose that we accept the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Logue. Thank you, Councillor Norris, seconded by Councillor Norris. Moving on now to item number 9, and that's the Northern Ireland Audit Office audit strategy, and Christine is going to take that.
Thank you, Chair. Chair and members, you have the audit strategy in the pack today. I'm going to take you through the key messages. Section 1 of the report sets out the summary of how we plan to conduct our audit work for the year. It also provides some messaging on the materiality, significant risks, proper arrangements, and the performance improvement work that we'll complete. It sets out the responsibility, the audit team, and the fee. And also today there's some actions for the Audit Assurance, Audit and Risk Committee members. So at the bottom of page 3, I'll come back to that, Chair, at the end, just to get that recorded in the minutes. So really what we're asking of the members today is, as I make my presentation, whether our assessment of risk of material misstatement is correct, whether management has plans to address those risks, whether our proposed audit response to address the risks is appropriate, and whether any members have any knowledge of any actual suspected or alleged fraud affecting council that we're not aware of, or any instances of non-compliance with laws and regulations, again, that we're not aware of at this stage. Happy that that gets disclosed in the meeting today, or separately to me after the meeting. Section 2 of the report sets out our approach to materiality. The members will note there the group materiality, we're using an indicator of 2% of last year's expenditure, working out around 2.1 million. We also have an error reporting threshold of 104,000, and in effect we'll report any errors over 104,000 back to the committee, so whether they be adjusted or unadjusted. There are also a number of areas of the accounts that are more sensitive to the readers, and they're set out in page 5 of my document. And you'll see effectively we'll reduce the materiality down to a level of 0. So that will include our consideration of the remuneration staff report, movement in reserves, the audit fee, prior year figures, and any specific legal settlement. Section 3 of the report is the audit approach, and members will note that the audit approach is risk-based. The auditing standards require that of us. And we also set out that we ourselves, Summer and I, and the Northern Ireland Audit Office are independent of council to deliver the audit. And we do obtain personal data throughout the audit, so we're setting out our responsibilities for the management of personal data. In terms of the work and reliance on the work of internal audit, we're stating there that we intend to use internal audit's work to inform our audit approach, but we don't expect to take any assurance at this stage. In terms of using specialist skills, there are a number of external third parties that we'll take some assurance from their work. So we look at the actuaries' work for the pensions, land property services in terms of your land and buildings valuation, and also the Treasury advisors with respect to the discount factors and the valuation following IFRS 16 implementation. Use of the contractors there is just to say that Summer and I will do the day-to-day audit work, but ultimately the audit office will retain ultimate responsibility for the audit and the sign-off. In terms of changes to the audit approach and what members might expect, so there's been one significant change, so the implementation of IFRS 16 and with respect to leases is new this year. So you'll see that as a change in the financial statements once they become available for review. The audit scope is set out there, and just highlighting that the code of practice is what leads on that. And there's also some information on the group consolidation. So the consolidation of the CODA, so City Derry Airport, into the council's overall group accounts. And what we're expecting then from the component auditor effectively is to audit the financial statements of the CODA. Some responsibilities then in terms of the preparation of the financial statements set out page 9, and also the proper arrangements work that we'll conduct as part of the financial audit. This audit strategy also covers the performance improvement audit that will come separate to the financial statements audit, and again our plans and the legislative basis which we conduct our work there. A couple of other matters on page 11 of the document. We're just highlighting there a number of reports commissioned by council in terms of planning issues that have come through this committee. And again, we're going to take a review of those reports and identify if there's any further work that we need to do as part of the governance statement. We also note, and it's come to this committee, around a pre-action protocol letter received by the council. Again, we'll obtain and review that related correspondence and make sure that that's accounted for correctly. And then a positive statement just in terms of the HMRC VAT claim on leisure services was successful, and that's resulting in a receipt of about £5 million for council. So that's positive. There are 3 significant risks in section 3 of the audit strategy. The first 2 significant risks are a risk scenario audit, so they're not specific to this council. First of those is management over out of control. And effectively how we test that is looking at your journals, looking at accounting estimates, looking at any transactions that are outside normal course of business. We look at your projected outturn at year end to make sure that there's nothing peculiar happening around year end and around cut-off. And we'll also look at the disclosure of the year end financial position in the governance statement and also your going concern disclosure. Significant risk too is the risk of fraud and revenue recognition. And again, as auditors, we can rebut that risk. But for the council, we have assessed the risk to be significant in respect of the council's service income. And that would be typical of our approach. And again, we've set out our audit response in terms of how we plan to respond to that audit risk. The third audit risk then is a risk specific to Derry Strabane. Is the risk of the going concern status of the City of Derry Airport. Members will note it was a risk in our audit strategy last year, and it's around the confirmation of longer term commitment around funding. And again, I understand from management that conversations there are more positive, and we expect that once we come to conduct our audit that we'll have some approval of those funds. But again, as auditors, we'll keep that under review. Section 4 of the report sets out the audit timetable, fees and staffing. Two key dates really to highlight to members. So we plan to start audit work around the end of July, so the 20th of July, and subject to date being approved at the AGM, the results of that audit coming back to this committee around the middle of September. Moving on then, page 17. Again, that is just the planned timetable for the performance improvement audit. And again, middle of November is the key date where we expect to conclude on our audit results for that piece of work. The audit fees are set out and the audit team is set out on page 19, and you'll see there that the team is consistent to the team last year, so that brings a bit of efficiency to the audit process, given it is our second year. And the improvement audit team is also set out on page 20 of the document, 50 in the pack. Appendix 1 of the report is some good practice guides, and Appendix 2 of the report is some value for money work that's been conducted by the Audit Office, or some public reporting. And again, that's there for members to review and to read. I'll pause there, Chair, and take any comments or questions from members.
Christine, thanks very much for outlining that for us. Does anyone have any questions? No. Councillor Norris, thank you.
I'll propose.
Thank you. We have someone to second that? Thank you, Councillor Clark. Moving on now to item 10, and that's the Health, Safety and Wellbeing Committee report update for March 2025. And Niall's going to take that first.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to provide members with an update on the health and safety management systems and processes in place within Council. Following the Corporate Health, Safety and Wellbeing Committee meeting held on the 21st of January 2025, to seek members' continued support and endorsement for the health and safety management systems in place within Derry City and Strabane District Council. The Corporate Health and Safety and Wellbeing Committee meet on a quarterly basis and is chaired by the Chief Executive and attended by directors, lead officers and union representatives. The committee forms an important part of the ISO 45001 system review and provides corporate health and safety with the opportunity to provide senior management within Derry City and Strabane District Council on the progress of health and safety performance throughout the organisation. The Corporate Health, Safety and Wellbeing Committee report presented and discussed at the Corporate Health and Safety and Wellbeing Committee is attached to Appendix D. The covenant reports for the 24-25 period were discussed, and progress reports on from each directorate, Appendix E through to H. Compliance training is a key corporate risk. The training will be tracked through individual service areas and covenant reports for the 24-25 reporting period. At this committee meeting, the committee discussed the training and competency procedure. Corporate Health and Safety will work closely with HR to review the training and competency procedure. The organisation's most recent ISO 45001 external audit report was completed on the 2nd, 3rd and 4th of December 2024. The external audit report is attached at Appendix A. A summary of the findings can be found within the main audit report, to which no instances of non-conformity were detected during the assessment and 6 opportunities for improvement were noted. The health and safety internal audit process continues throughout all service areas. Members can find a copy of the internal report, update report presented to the Health and Safety Wellbeing Committee in January 25, attached to this report at Appendix J. The committee discussed the review of accidents and incidents data for the 24-25 reporting period. Members will note that the main health and safety wellbeing report details the total number of staff ridders for the 24-25 reporting period. And the committee also discussed projects requiring corporate attention and review to ensure the organisation remains compliant with key statutory regulations such as Legionella management and also noise vibration assessments. Members are asked to note the contents of the report and to continue to endorse health and safety management systems and processes in place throughout their organisation. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Niall. Do we have any questions for Niall on that report? No questions? So would someone like to propose that, please, that we endorse that report? Thank you, Councillor Norris. And seconder? Thank you, Councillor Logue. Moving on now to item 11, and that's the corporate risk register, and Denise is going to take that first.
Thank you, Chair. Members, the purpose of this report is to present to you the Council's corporate risk register and details of the latest reviews completed and to seek your endorsement and comments in relation to the contents of the register. The appendix there attached, members will show the most recent register, and members, you will note that the following risks remain as high scoring: the availability of adequate funding for the North West Partnership, increased risk of cybercrime, inability to secure the long-term financial stability of Council in relation to the delivery of Council services, inability to deliver on Council's ambitious capital programme of strategic and community projects, growth ambitions for the city and district, the risk in relation to climate change, and the implementation of the City Deal portfolio. Although those risks are high scoring, members, on the risk register, it is important to note that all these risks have an action plan attached, aiming to mitigate the risk as much as possible, and those action plans are attached there for your information as well. We've also attached a critical risk variance report which shows the residual score movements of these critical risks in the last 12 months. All the implications, members, are all included within the register, and the recommendation is that you endorse the contents of the register. I'm happy to take any questions or comments on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise, for that. Do we have any questions or any comments? No. Can we have a proposer then and a seconder?
I'll propose, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Logue. Thank you, Councillor Norris. So item 12 then is for information. Does anyone have any comments or questions on that? Okay, so moving on then to confidential.
Sorry, Chair, could I just come in? Sorry, I was late coming in there.
Sorry, go ahead, Councillor Alderman Guy.
Yeah, I'm just trying to flick between screens here, so apologies for that there. Going back just on the corporate critical risks, the variance there, and it was said for Council unable to deliver the implementation of the City Deal portfolio. Previous total was 10. Current total is 15, so variance of 5. What is it that's increased that there? Because surely now we're in a better position with the City Deal than we have been in a long while, with the terms being signed off and so on. What was the reason for that increase?
Yeah, that's sorry, through you, Chair. That's a very good question, Alderman Guy. So many of these critical risks well, all of these critical risks we review through SLT on a regular basis and challenge ourselves to make sure that we're not getting into some sort of groupthink with regard to whether or not they're being mitigated or not. I think in terms of City Deal, we're not concerned, but we do believe it's a programme of such significance to Council with and the Council area, with such a significant price tag, nearly 300 million, that there are still a number of very significant risks to enable that it's delivered. Internal resourcing is one. Resourcing of our key partners, Ulster University, Northwest Regional College, all the various government departments. The huge risk of inflation, construction inflation, and the fact that we're still working through OBCs with government, awaiting letters of offer. And irrespective of the fact that that's actually going quite well, as you pointed out, Alderman Guy, the uncertainty out there in the financial world, the global picture that that dovetails into rising construction costs, just gives us cause for concern that we're not dealing with a project that is a couple of million here. We're dealing with a project that's hundreds of millions, and any variance in terms of inflationary rises, any slippage to programme, anything that relates to an outline business case that is delayed through the system potentially has very significant consequences. So we simply felt that at this stage it's important to make sure that we manage it as diligently as we can, that we accurately reflect the risk, and possibly last time round we felt that those risks were being adequately mitigated. And while we feel that they're still being mitigated, the external circumstances are such that I think we need to reflect that in the risk register.
Thanks for that, John. And thanks, Chair. I just couldn't get on there with trying to deal with the two screens here. But thanks. And
All right, Alderman Guy, happy enough for that?
yeah, happy enough with that. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.